Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 23rd of March. Shot up to the well above the 50%. Everything was looking rosy, but that pesky white MBI was still leading, even with pretty strong green taking over. The real question was going to be any pivot below the 25 is what I warned about, and that 4,008. Once the 50% broke on the turnaround, couldn't hold the 4,008 and then plummeted even further. And I think that expressed some more weakness. You still have plenty of buyers jumping into it, short term buyers fading off, but long term, midterm buyers, not enough to overcome that selling. But what a difference between when you look at the ES and making successively lower highs versus the NQ, where you were literally uh, matching. And this is going to be more ominous for the NASDAQ, that people will immediately scream double top, which not really a top because the peak was over here. But we can get into that technical analysis debate over and over. But again, it's just pointing out that the resistance at that particular range still exists. And just because there's so much uncertainty, and this is what we've been talking about from the macro standpoint. And again, people flocked into treasuries, sending the yield lower with no justification as of yet. Oil popping back up over to the 70 barrel, but that's still a whole lot better than it had been, and certainly takes a lot of pressure off. But it's got to stay this lower range for it to be effective over time, and that's what we'll see coming forward. And gold back and forth, and again, it's going to do a little bit of that, but it's going to have these spurts, and it's going to continue to rise. And I would think you would expect the same thing from Bitcoin and the others. The euro crazy run here as well. Um, we gotta do everything they can to support it, because if everyone found out the emperor has no clothes, then what do you do? It becomes a real problem. So there's Bitcoin also it gave back some, but that happens whenever there's a sudden market liquidation, because you want to pull from one spot to take care of another. And ETH likewise, these were just generally fairly decent. They were just going into a soft spell given the run up that had taken place. It wasn't anything too dramatic. The 50K long programs had sold out on the turnaround move here, coming all the way up from those previous buys, and then took the short midway into it. See how it plays out. Perfectly fine. I would expect that it's going to fight back and forth. It's going to be a tough one to break that 23 with the MBI weight still leading, and such a depressed magenta MBI. Things started off fairly calm, and it wasn't until we got to the regular cash open that things got a little crazy. There was a big burst uh, trying to lift and elevate. And then that final one came, and it was about midday. And then, boom, the rug came out. Everyone said it was Yellen's comments, this, that, and the other. But again, the market's just rife with a lot of uncertainty about how things are going to go, because they haven't navigated this kind of setup before. And so you're going to get that, and it becomes a guessing. And then once the algos kick in, boom, we start looking at these various algo levels that we already had. Whenever we break up above that 4023 range, coming above, we had this one at 4031, came back to it, fought back it again, and once it broke, then yeah, then it becomes just get out, and everybody starts running for the things. Now we supported down to 3970, which has been relatively reasonable area, shooting back between this 57 and 92 range. Probably going to play a bunch more down in that range, unless things become more negative. But a lot of that negativity everybody knows already. The question is, are there upsides, and what are they? And you know, some might think that decent economic numbers or whatever would represent improvement. Not so sure about that, because then you just have the problem of, well, then does the Fed have justification for pausing or even doing anything? And they're just going to have to secure the banking sector first and make sure that fears of a run type situation have been resolved, and go from there. So we'll take it day by day. But as always, though, if there's anything relevant, I'll put it up on Skype chat. Trade well.